Hi friend, David Henry here from Learn Stage Lighting, and in this video I want to talk about the great debate of moving lights. And so this month, these 4 weeks here, we're really focusing on what lights should you buy, and today is no exception to that rule, because we're going to talk about moving lights versus not moving lights. Now, if you want to hear the difference between the two, how to help you choose these, make sure you subscribe here and like this video, because by the end I'm going to make sure you know what you need to buy. Last week I had a video that, if you haven't seen it yet, was about spot versus wash versus beam versus hybrid lights. Yes, that's a mouthful, but this is what you see when you're going out there to choose to buy lights for yourself, your band, your church, whatever context you use lighting in. You've got to at some point decide what type of lights to buy. And then the second part being, should I buy moving lights or should I buy static lights, lights that don't move, that are probably at this day an LED fixture? Choosing between a moving light and a non-moving light isn't always easy, but I think I can really help you to develop a grasp today and figure out for your stage which is best. And it really boils down to one simple question. Okay, what is the purpose of this light? And the reason why it boils down to that is you want to, before you buy this light, think ahead to, okay, what do I need this light to do? Because moving lights are great. I love moving lights. Everybody does, right? They're cool, they wiggle around. They can save you time, and they can save you money too, because they can perform the jobs of multiple static lights. It's kind of like when we started seeing LEDs and they were replacing conventional fixtures with gels. Now, instead of having 6 lights to get 6 different colors, we could do that with 1 light. Imagine the savings of not only energy because of the LED, but just space, weight, cables, bulbs, all of that. It was huge. We ask the same questions when we think about moving lights versus lights that don't move. And we got to ask first and foremost, what is the purpose of this light? Because it's not a time to buy a moving light if you're literally going to put it in a permanent installation and 90% of the time it doesn't move. Maybe you're using it for a front wash or for back wash, okay, for backlight. Backwash, that's what my son does in his water bottle. But backlight, on the other hand, is a little different. If you think when you buy this light that 90% of the time it's going to point the same place, then buy a non-moving light. Because for the similar brightness, a non-moving light will be half the cost or less than that of a moving light. And so you could literally go ahead and say you were going to go buy 10 moving lights to do a front wash, okay? 10 wash moving lights. Say you were going to pay $1,500 a piece for them. But you could buy for $700 a really nice static light that would also wash the stage, okay? So 10 times $1,500, of course, is $15,000. Whereas 10 times 700 is $7,000, and then you would have $8,000 left after that. Well, with that $8,000 that's left, you could buy, 5 or 6 wash moving lights and have that front wash already done. And so this is just one example of how it could really look different and really be powerful to create a wash that is static, does everything you need, is always right there when you need it, and still have the budget to get some moving lights and have movement. Because ultimately, if you're front washing your entire stage with the moving light, then at that same moment in your show or your service or your DJ set, whatever it may be, you can't move those lights because they're washing people on stage. And so I often see people, especially in the installation world, this is where it's really big, and they go ahead and they specify moving lights, all moving light rig, because then you can move them however you want, right? Well, that's true, and that's helpful. And if you set up and tear down often, you set up a rig and it's down the next day, and you set it up and you tear it down, again and again and again, then moving lights can be a really great way to save money and time on labor and give you that extra functionality. Okay, I love it in the rental market. I love it when I'm designing shows that are quick in, quick out. Just do all moving lights. It saves you on labor, and that's where you get the cost savings. But if you're permanently installed, you're setting up and leaving the lights in one place for some time, or maybe your labor's inexpensive, like a church, kind of situation where you've got a lot of volunteers. In that case, there are a lot of places where it doesn't make sense to bring in the cost of a moving light, and you could actually get more lights that do the purposes you need if they're not moving, and then maybe bring in a few moving lights afterwards. So that's just my 2 cents on it. If you do want more, I actually have a gear guide that I want to put in your hands. It's basically the gear of all different types that I've used and I found to be the best bang for the buck lighting gear for people who are just entry level or intermediate. And I want to get that in your hands, so be sure to go to my gear guide link here at the end of the video as well as below, and we'll get that in your hands. Of course, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe here on Learn Stage Lighting. I want to get more great info into your hands to save you time, save you money, and make your lighting rock. I will see you in our next video. Thanks.